Hey guys, Mono here, and today I have some tips and advice for playing World War III. Now, compared to other games I've done videos on, like Hell Let Loose, World War III isn't super complex, but there are a surprising amount of little details and hidden mechanics that you wouldn't know about unless somebody told you. So in this video, I'll go over all of those as well as give you some gameplay advice to maximize the number of points that you get and therefore the number of times that you can use your strikes. But before I get started, I want to give a big shout out to everyone that supports the channel through a YouTube or Patreon membership. You guys are the reason that I can keep doing this type of content, so I really appreciate it. And if you want to catch me live, you can do so on Twitch, so make sure you check out the links down in the video description. Also, huge shout out to Darenaya from the World War III Discord, who has a neat little old school text file with a bunch of tips for this game. He's the source of a lot of the information that's here in this video, so thank you very much for the help. Alright, let's get started. So first of all, if you enjoy running the anti-tank class like I do, then be aware that you can swap up the SMG for an assault rifle and just adjust your armor level if that maxes out on your weight limit. The SMGs have an insane bullet drop and are just not as effective as the assault rifles, so I highly recommend you sacrifice some protection for firepower here and get yourself a gun that can actually engage people at range with. I don't really suffer a lot from the lack of better armor, and the mobility penalty that you get from carrying a max weight loadout really isn't very significant at all, so just don't worry about it. Being able to shoot and kill enemies more effectively will by itself mitigate the amount of times that you get hit. So yeah, just run around with an assault rifle when using the RPG. Second tip is if you're not running an RPG and run into an enemy vehicle, then don't worry, there's still some way for you to damage it and do something about it, as you can shoot off the camera system. This will cause the enemy to see a shattered, scrambled picture, forcing them to have to go back away for repairs. This works on APCs, tanks, or any of the land drones. You will see the damage labeled as RCWS when doing this, which means Remote Control Weapon Station, and a huge tip here, so tip number 3 that will save you a lot of wasted strike points, is that when you're using a missile strike on a vehicle like a Mephisto for example, try to hit either the front or the back of the vehicle, but not hit the very top where the RCWS system is, because you will destroy that and deal less damage to the rest of the vehicle, so watch out for that one. I've wasted a lot of Mephistos on vehicles only to destroy their RCWS instead of killing them, so hopefully this will spare you the pain of seeing your points do nothing. Let me know down in the comment section if you'd like me to do a full video going over the strikes in detail, because that's something that I thought about doing, but I don't have full access to all of the strikes just yet, so I won't be able to cover all of them. Alright, tip number 4, you can damage all drones using your assault rifle, and it's sometimes quicker and safer to use the assault rifle than the RPG to take them out. I imagine the amount of damage is going to depend on the weapon used, but a full clip will take around 20% of their health or so, so even though they are really powerful, a full squad can take out any drone out very quickly. The RPG takes off 50 health, but the reload is quite long and the drones are super fast, so it can be really hard to get a hit using the RPGs. Both drones and other vehicles can replenish their ammunition back at headquarters by using the repair pad that's over there, but they can also be repaired by just walking up to any vehicle and hitting 4 to take out your repair tool. So tip number 5, everyone has access to a repair kit, which is awesome, so make sure you pay attention to vehicles that are around you that might need repairs. You can repair your own drone by driving it towards you and hitting F to exit the drone view. Once you're done repairing it, hit the drone key again, which should be key number 8, to go back into the drone and keep driving it around. What you can also do is move into cover after deploying your drone by doing this, by exiting it out and hiding somewhere and then just deploying back into the drone by hitting 8, because you usually need an unobstructed space to be able to deploy them, and that usually doesn't offer a lot of cover. And one last thing about drones is that they won't do any damage at all if they detonate while being jammed. So if your drone is jammed, try to stay alive and wait for the jam to expire before detonating, because it won't do anything. Jamming, in fact, is super powerful, so tip number 6, jamming has a bunch of different effects. It will prevent enemies from spawning on each other, which is massive. It will also prevent enemies from using strikes. It will scramble the controls of any enemy drones in the area. It will prevent enemy UAVs from revealing you on the map. And it will prevent any enemy explosives from damaging anything when they blow up. So all claymores, mines, C4, everything, all of that is rendered quite useless. All of this gives you a massive tactical advantage over your opponents, whether it's defending or attacking. Just the fact that enemies can't spawn on each other dramatically reduces the amount of enemies that you might need to fight to take over an objective. So make sure when you're selecting your strikes to not neglect the use of the jammer over the UAV. And if you're running in a squad, the best thing you can do is have some players run the jammer and others the UAV, so that way you can deploy both of them over an area and get total advantage over your enemies. The spotter UAV will show enemies on the map with a tiny little arrow pointing up or down in case an enemy happens to be above or below you, so also notice that. Quick side note here, all UAVs will show up as physical objects in the world, so make sure you shoot out enemy drones if you notice them flying around. This is also extremely useful for avoiding bombing runs. If you see a plane flying over your way and you just heard the announcer warn of an incoming bombing run, then you might want to find some cover. Alright, here's some tips on how to get more points during combat, which will help you get more uses out of your strikes. Tip number 7 is mark enemy infantry and vehicles, but especially vehicles using the X key. If you press it twice, you will leave a mark wherever it is that you're aiming, but if you press it just once while looking at an enemy, that will spot them for a few seconds. This in and of itself will net you extra points, but you'll get bonus points if that enemy is killed, so doing this can quickly add up to a significant amount of extra points. In the case of enemy vehicles, specifically, spotting them on the map will allow teammates to target them using their bombing runs or rocket strikes, so you're not only helping your team kill the enemy, but you're also getting a bunch of points as a reward, so that's all very good. However, the fastest way to get points is to just play the objectives and stay in the cap sectors. So a few tips regarding objectives. Tip number 8, and I'm sure a lot of people haven't noticed this, but the speed at which you cap a sector depends on the amount of squad mates in it. You get 7 seconds off the cap speed for every squad mate present, up to 5 players total. And if you're paying attention, you'll notice I said squad mates, not teammates. Only people from your own squad matter on this, so if you're just running around with random blueberries, you won't have any difference. Cap speed is 75 seconds as default, and you can lower that all the way down to 47 seconds by having 5 squad mates total. Tip number 9 is that enemies are unable to spawn at an objective as soon as any cap progress is made. So as long as you stay capturing, it's often a good idea to attack nearby objectives at the same time, preventing enemy players from spawning at the most nearby flag in order to defend. As you may or may not know, only linked objectives provide points for your team, but often the objective closest to the one that you're currently capping isn't the corresponding linked pair, but some other random point. But even if that's the case, putting a bit of cap pressure on that second point on any nearby objective can make your life a whole lot easier. Also, you really want to stay until the sector is capped before leaving because you get bonus points for doing so. And if you're a squad leader, make sure you always mark the objective you're contesting. Any enemy players killed near the objective will award bonus points, and basically anything squad mates do around the objective will also net you bonus points for doing so. So doing this is essential to staying ahead of your enemies in terms of the in-game strike point economy. Alright, tip number 10 is that some maps have APCs that just spawn there for the taking as soon as the round starts. Moscow has one spawning on Charlie 1, Berlin has one that spawns between Baker 1 and Baker 2, Polyarny, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but but one spawns at A2 and one spawns on Charlie 1 on that map. So make sure you rush to get those vehicles once the round starts to get an advantage over the enemy team. But be ready to fight for those vehicles because the enemy is probably gonna do the same. Tip number 11. Once your team reaches 2,000 points, a tank will spawn back at the headquarters. So if you feel like tanking, make sure you pay attention and grab that as well. For vehicles called in by other players, you can only enter the driving seat if the vehicle is unlocked by the player that called it by pressing the L key as a default. All right, tip number 12. You can carry extra equipment in a backpack system that can be accessed at any time by pressing the I key. You get this little like Battlefield 2042 style weapon mod system, and you can also swap in your grenades or AT mines for other gadgets using this system. So say for example you've already laid down your 2 AT mines, you can then swap to smoke grenades or gas grenades or whatever by using this system. This is actually a great way to get a magnified sight for your weapon if you're stuck using the iron sights for a low level weapon. Just hit I at the start of the round, switch the sights, and then you never have to think about it ever again. Speaking of attachments, tip number 13, I advise you use attachments that reduce horizontal recoil over vertical recoil. Horizontal recoil is pretty nasty in a lot of the weapons and is much harder to control than vertical recoil. So yeah, try reducing the horizontal recoil to be more effective. Tip 14, and I can't believe this is so far down the list, but you can look around while interacting with ammo or health packs. Just hold F while looking at them to start replenishing and move your mouse around while holding it. You can still reload and aim down sights, so make sure you're not surprised by the enemy just looking at the floor when you're doing this. Remember, they can still hold angles and you can still do things while replenishing your health or ammunition or whatever it is. And lastly, tip 15 is don't use artillery strikes on objectives that aren't suitable for them. So basically anything that has a roof on it. Your artillery will hit the roof and it won't damage the enemies because they are protected by the roof. So Baker 1 and Baker 2 points on Moscow, Able 2 on Moscow, Baker 1 on Polyarny. There's a bunch of objectives where artillery strikes will literally do nothing at all. So don't get anxious and save your artillery strikes for objectives that are out in the open. And please remember that friendly fire is on. So if you drop a rocket on an enemy tank that's surrounded by friendlies, you will TK them. So keep that in mind. And I can't end the video without saying this. If you see this vehicle, then destroy it. This is an enemy spawn vehicle. Spawn vehicles are supposed to be driven somewhere and then hidden so they don't take any damage and they don't get destroyed. So you have an additional spawn point somewhere. So do that. Don't drive this vehicle straight into the enemy team. All right, that's going to be it for this video. If you have any other tips that you want to share, then please leave them down in the comment section. And as always, thank you for watching and I hope I will catch you in the next one.